Okay, now slide is visible.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me the name of slide? Yes. Yes, anybody from the class? Which slide is there?
Monitoring and bioremediation.
Yes, Unit 3, Environmental Monitoring and Bioremediation. And in this environmental monitoring and bioremediation, last time we have already switched on to this topic and we were discussing about what is environmental monitoring, what's its significance, what's its application, what's its objectives of environmental monitoring. So this environmental monitoring is nothing but these are the techniques or procedures which are used in a production industry or in pharma industry or in vaccine production industry, so as to find out, so as to determine, so as to find out or determine number of organisms present in the ambient environment. And it is absolutely necessary as a GMP, that is a good manufacturing practice, because what happens, the organisms which are present in the ambient environment, surrounding environment, those organisms may enter into the product and it may be hazardous to the human being. So it is absolutely necessary to have check, to carry out control on this environmental monitoring. And there is one there is one another topic is there, that is a bioremediation, that is use of a biological entity to remove or to reduce, to control these various kinds of pollutions are there, and environmental impact assessment. So before going to these last 2 points, already we have already switched on last time this environmental monitoring. So just now I have told you people, and these are the techniques or procedures designed to demonstrate and the control of viable living organisms and on viable particles in some of these critical areas. And those critical areas are nothing but these for drug manufacturing areas, pharmaceutical areas, field areas, production areas, in process areas, then raw material areas, etc., etc. In addition, various rooms are there, laminar flow hoods are there, biological safety hoods are there, some of these isolation rooms are there, glue boxes are there. So all these areas it is necessary to carry out monitoring, that is a checking, that is determining. So again, I think last time we have seen the what you call this environmental monitoring refers to these tools and techniques which are designed to observe an environment and characterize its quality and establish environmental parameters, and for the purpose of accurately quantifying the impact and activity has on this environment, it is going to assess. So this human population, industrial activities and energy consumption, it is going to control because of this population explosion, or as day goes on increasing, it is 110% population also goes on increasing. So again, I think that last time we have seen environmental monitoring types, that is one of the most important source for contamination of the environment in this pharma industry. That is what you can say, this personnel involved in that industry. And last time I think that I have told you people, there are technical persons and non-technical persons, and as far as these technical persons are aware of some of these GLP, good laboratory practices, GMP, good manufacturing practices, they are aware because they have given exposure, they have given training that how microorganisms are entered. But there are some of these non-technical entities are there, and that non-technical entities, as they are not given exposure how microorganisms enter from our body into the product. Then the air which is present, air in the clean room, air in the manufacturing room which is present is controlled and monitored on regular basis, that is by daily, weekly and quarterly, for particle counts, temperature counts, humidity, and for that purpose HEPA filters are used, and they having this pore size that is 0.45 micron. Earlier it was there, now they have been mentioned 0.2 micron in size, and it can what you can say it and it can, so all the microorganisms will settle on this filter bed that is 0.2 micron in size, so it will not allow to pass the microorganisms through these HEPA filters having size 0.2 micron size. Then last time I think surfaces also I have discussed, that is including floors, walls, equipments are cleaned and monitored on regular basis for viable counts using two medium, that is Streptococcus soya agar and SDA, that is Streptococcus soya agar is used for bacteria, and Sabrods dextrose agar which is used for this fungal, and it is to be incubated at appropriate incubation conditions for appropriate times. Okay, then two methods of air sampling in clean room, that is active air sampling, and that active air sampling is nothing but the air samplers draw in a predetermined volumes of air, and the air is drawn over sterile media plate which is later incubated to show or to reveal the number of viable organisms per cubic feet or per liter. And currently this agar impaction is the method of choice throughout the industries, and using this agar impaction method, which is specially designed and calibrated which holds the media plate under a perforated lid and draws in a known amount of air, one can accurately measure the amount of viable bacteria within the air. So this air samplers active air sampling, that is what you can say, this perforated plates are perforated nutrient agar plates or suitable agar media holds under perforated lids, and which allows, with the help of some devices, mechanisms or equipments, the air which is present, which is forced through that perforations on the surfaces of agar, and then those agar plates are kept for the incubation. So this is one technique. Then the settling plate technique, which is called as a passive air sampling. So air on its own, if that air contains large, what you can say, these large droplets, they will have more weights, and these droplets will settle. And if the air do not have such kinds of droplets, the even by a slight wind current, the air will travel from one place to another place. The particles which having very minute size particles, or the droplets which are dried, they will not settle on the they will not settle on the Petri plate, which is called as a negative sampling or passive air sampling in case of this settling plate. So especially what happens, these Petri plates containing sterile growth media are exposed to the environment for a specific period of time, usually from 30 to 60 minutes, and after 30 to 60 minutes plates are closed, and these plates are kept in an incubation so as to find out, or so as to determine number of colonies which are present on these Petri plates. So there are two methods for surface monitoring in a clean room, that is contact plates and swabs. As contact plates, meaning itself indicates the personnel involved. These personnel are allowed to touch, allowed to press their fingers, allowed to press their hands, allowed to press their other some of these parts which are constantly exposed to these production areas or these some of these body parts which are more prone to contamination, so those parts are allowed to contact with the plates. So in these contact plates, the special plates which contain sterile growth medium prepared in a manner so the surface of the media protrudes above the rim of the plate. The contact plate is pressed against any flat surface and it needs to be sampled. Any viable microorganisms on the surface will stick on the agar surface and will grow upon a proper incubation. And this technique shows the number of viable microorganisms on the surface. So contact plate for surfaces, also you have to touch that contact plate, sorry. Swabs are the sterile and stored in a liquid, a suitable liquid. The swabs are rubbed on the surfaces of test surfaces. Then swabs are rubbed on a door. Swabs are rubbed on a production area surfaces. And these microbiologists can determine the type of microorganisms on the swab by subculturing it into the medium. And for subculturing, for growth of these microorganisms from the swab, there are again various techniques are there. That is, the swabs surfaces, swabs are used for surfaces that are not flat and can be used to sample hard to reach areas of machinery that could not be sampled with a contact plate. Swabbing is more qualitative than quantitative. So again, these swabs may be directly pressed on surfaces of solid agar medium, or these swabs may be inserted into a liquid media, and from this liquid media again certain quantity is placed on a solid medium. So swabs can be cultured both by liquid and solid medium. So how personnel are monitored in a clean room? By contact plate, personnel can be monitored in a clean room. The personnel in a critical areas may be monitored for microbial contamination utilizing these contact plates. The contact plates monitor areas of the body that may interact with the sterile field or product exposure areas. These may include gloves, hands, forearms, and other areas. The personnel monitoring is a good indication of how well personnel are gowning when they enter in the clean room. So what happens in case of these environmental organisms which are recovered from manufacturing areas should be identified to show what organisms are present and what may be contaminating the product. A well-developed environmental monitoring program is a proactive way to assure the cleanliness of manufacturing facility is maintained. So, how many of you are there? So, am I audible? Yes. Shivani Zadav. Yes. Yes. Shivani Zadav. Sneha
Yes,
More. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
हा, इथे ते काय साईडला लिस्ट दिसते, ते तुमची दिसत नाही, किती जण प्रेझेंट आहात ते. काय आज नवीन त्यांनी बदललंय का काय? त्यासाठी मला इथे काय कोण जॉईन आहे कोण नाही, कोणाचा आवाज आहे ते आज वेगळेच फीचर्स आलेले आहेत इथे माझ्या लॅपटॉपला. So again, this is the slide from NEET. I have drawn it. दिसते का बाळांनो? Yes. Is it visible to you? Yes. Is it visible, na? Okay. So in the role of environment, the microbiological quality of drug and the microbiological quality of biologics is necessary for their efficacy or efficiency and patient safety, not patent, patient safety. Because microbial contamination of drug causes immediate adverse effects on patient health in terms of morbidity and mortality, as well as long-term adverse effects such as cancer, autoimmune, and other diseases. Additionally, microbes can alter this chemistry and pharmacology of drugs, with the potential adverse impact on their effectiveness due to the breakdown of the active ingredients, as well as on their safety due to the toxicity of a potential degradant products. Therefore, the control of microbes in drugs is essential, either by assuring absence of microbes in sterile drugs that are administered parenterally and applied to sensitive tissues, or by controlling microbial bioburden to appropriate levels for non-sterile drugs. So these are administered to regions rich in microbial flora with physical or immunological barriers to infections. So this is again a significance here they have been mentioned. Then limitations of microbiological testing. As far as limitations of microbiological testings are considered, that microbiological testings plays a significant role in assuring this appropriate quality of drugs. However, the paradigm of final product testing, particularly for microbiological quality, is shifting, because testing alone does not provide complete or absolute assurance for control or absence from microbes. So basically this bacteria, fungi, and mycoplasma viruses. Additionally, this reliability of microbiological testing depends upon the selection of appropriate methods that are suitable for intended purpose, and an adequate number of samples taken at appropriate stages of manufacturing. So what happens, they have been mentioned that these testing does not only gives us idea, but what happens, testing tells us about the kinds, types, as well as whether GMP, one of the most important, that is GMP, that is whether good manufacturing practices, good manufacturing procedures are there or not. So what happens, this environmental monitoring, it is nothing but this is the GMP practice, that is product is produced in a proper fashion, product is produced as per the procedures which are laid down by, what you can say, for example, that is various USP is there, United States Pharmacopoeia is there, then British Pharmacopoeia is there, as well as Indian Pharmacopoeia is there. तर त्याचे जे काय त्यांचे प्रोसिजर्स लेट डाऊन केलेले असतात, त्याच्यामध्ये त्यांनी म्हटलेलं आहे की रोल ऑफ एन्व्हायरमेंटल मॉनिटरिंग. फॉर दॅट पर्पज इट इज इसेन्शियल टू कॅरी आउट दिस मॉनिटरिंग, इसेन्शियल टू कॅरी आउट मॉनिटरिंग. मग त्याच्यामध्ये काय म्हटलेलं आहे, दिस building microbiological quality in drugs. For that purpose, monitoring is carried out. Then क्लीन रूम क्लासिफिकेशन. सो आपणाला जे काय क्लीन रूम आहेत, व्हॉट डू यू मीन बाय क्लीन रूम? क्लीन रूम is nothing but the rooms which are used in manufacturing areas, pharmaceutical areas, production areas. These rooms are supposed to be a clean room. That is, sterilization of those rooms is carried out. After sterilization, the air which is enters in those rooms, that air comes through HEPA filters, that is high efficiency filters. And what happens, we have to classify these clean rooms. That is, classification of clean room is essential. Actually, this production clean room has a classification is based on, that is, a number of organisms present, number of that is set level particles present, non viable particles. त्याच्यावरती त्या क्लीन रूमचं क्लासिफिकेशन असतं. So before going for classification of clean room, what is clean room? Clean room is a controlled environment and that has low level of pollutants such as dust, such as airborne microbes, such as aerosol particles and chemical vapors. To be exact, a clean room has a controlled level of contamination that is specified by number of particles per cubic meter at a specified particle size. तर क्लीन रूम म्हणजे काय असतं की आपल्याला काय पाहायचं आहे, लेवल ऑफ पोल्युटंट्स. ते फॉर एक्झाम्पल डस्टची लेवल ऑफ पोल्युटंट्स किती आहे, एअरबोर्न मायक्रोबची किती आहे, एरोसल पार्टिकलची किती आहे, केमिकल व्हेपर्सची किती आहे. मग त्याच्यावरून क्लीन रूम क्लासिफिकेशन होत असतं. मग क्लासिफिकेशनच्या वेगवेगळ्या टेक्निक्स आहेत, ते आपण पुढे स्लाइडमध्ये पाहणार आहोत. सो क्लीन रूम्स आर यूज इन practically in every industry where small particles can adversely affect the manufacturing processes. A clean room is a given contained space where provisions are made to reduce particulate contamination and control other environmental parameters such as temperature, humidity, and pressure. The key component is a HEPA filter, that is high efficiency particulate air filter, is used to trap the particles that are 0.3 micron and larger in size. आता 0.3 इथं म्हटलेलं आहे, मग अशी मी 0.2 म्हटलेलं होतं. बऱ्याचशा जुने जे काय पब्लिश सायंटिफिक लिटरेचर्स आहेत त्याच्यामध्ये 0.45 मायक्रॉन असे साईज म्हटलेले आहे. तर असं कसं होतं की डे बाय डे द what you can say stringent or rigid rules and regulations are coming through these regulatory authorities. आता इथे तुम्हाला पाहायला मिळेल व्हॉट इज क्लीन रूम. मी जे काय आता सांगितलं तेच तुम्हाला इन्फॉर्मेशन पाहायला मिळेल. क्लीन रूम, what is clean room? Clean room is nothing but typically used manufacturing or scientific research. Clean room is a controlled environment that has a low level of pollutants such as dust, airborne microbes, aerosol particles, chemical vapors. And to be exact, clean room has a controlled level of contamination that is specified by number of particles per liter per cubic meter, etc. तर आता इथं काय सांगितलंय, द ambient air outside in a typical city environment contains किती, अबाउट 35 वरती 3 आणि 3 6 झिरोज आहेत, particles per cubic meter of 0.5 micron in size and larger in diameter, corresponding to an ISO clean room, ISO 9 clean room. मग ISO 1 असेल, ISO 2 असेल, ISO 3 असेल, ISO 4 clean room. तर ते काय आहेत ते आपण नंतर पाहणार आहोत. So basically before going for this clean room classification, what is clean room, what is the significance, what is the objective, what is the purpose of clean room, how clean room is to be obtained, and then you can go for this classification. So depending upon the room classification or function, personnel gowning may be as limited as lab coats and hair nets, or as extensive as fully enveloped in multiple layer suits with self-contained breathing apparatus. So in clean room, clothing is used to prevent substances from being released of the wearer's body and contaminating the environment. So what happens? Clean room garments include boots, shoes, aprons, covers, then caps, then face masks, forks, coats, glue, finger coats, hair nets, etc. And the type of clean room garments used should reflect the clean room and product specification. Low level clean rooms may only require special shoes having a complementary smooth soles, etc. Then clean room airflow principles. So clean room maintain particulate free air through the use of either HEPA or ultra filters. So in our syllabus, they have been mentioned clean room classification. What is that? Clean room classifications are nothing but clean rooms are classified by how clean the air is as per federal standard 209. Take standard federal standard 209. ए टू डी क्लासिफिकेशन कसं केलेलं आहे? ए टू डी असं क्लासिफिकेशन केलेलं आहे. कोणी केलेलं आहे ए टू डी क्लासिफिकेशन? ऍज पर फेडरल स्टँडर्ड 209 ए टू डी क्लासिफिकेशन. क्लीन रूम ए, क्लीन रूम बी, क्लीन रूम सी, क्लीन रूम डी classification केलेलं आहे of the USA, and the number of particles equal to and greater than 0.5 micrometer is measured in 1 cubic foot of air, and this is a count used to classify the clean rooms. And this metric nomenclature is also accepted in the most recent 209E version of the standard. Federal standard is used domestically. The newer standard is a TC 209 from the International Standards Organization. Both standards classify a clean room by number of particles found in the laboratory's air. The clean room classification standards, that is FS 209E and ISO 146441, require specific particle count measurements and calculations to classify the cleanliness level of a clean room or clean area. In UK, British standard 5295 is used to classify clean rooms, and this standard is about to be superseded by BSE EN ISO 146441. So students, remember well that just now in this paragraph, so the clean room classification is they have told us about by various techniques, that is what happens as per British clean room classification, and the classification is different as per USA clean room classification. So students, remember well that just now in this paragraph they have told us about So am I audible now, students? Yes, students, am I audible, Rutuja?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. There was a network connection was breaked because of power failure. Okay, am I audible now? Slide is visible? Yes, Rutuja, slide is visible. Anjali Kadam. Yes, Anjali Kadam, slide is visible.
No, sir.
Slide is not visible.
No.
Now is it visible? Visible? Yes. Yes,
No,
slide
sir.
is
Not
visible now.
yet.
Not yet. Is it visible now?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So just now we were discussing about this clean room standards. This is a one classification. Class कुठला आहे? ISO 1, ISO 2, ISO 3, ISO 4, ISO 5, ISO 6, ISO 7, ISO 8 and ISO 9. मग क्लासिफिकेशन कशावरती केलेलं आहे? पार्टिकल साईज. Particle size 0.1 micrometer, 0.2 micrometer, 0.3 micrometer, 0.5 micrometer, and greater than 1 micrometer and greater than 5 micrometer. And this is this class 1, class 10, class 100, class 1000, class 10,000, class 1 lakh. हे वेगवेगळे क्लासिफिकेशन सिस्टीम आहे. क्लीन रूम क्लासिफिकेशन सिस्टीम. मग ते क्लीन रूम क्लासिफिकेशन सिस्टीम मध्ये काय होतंय? एक तर ISO असेल तर मग आपल्याला कुठल्या प्रकारचं प्रोडक्शन करायचं आहे, कुठल्या प्रकारचं प्रोडक्शन करायचं आहे, तर इथं पाहायला मिळेल तुम्हाला ISO क्लास 1 क्लासिफिकेशन असेल तर हे जे काय पार्टिकल साईज आहे, पार्टिकल साईज किती म्हटलेलं आहे? 0.1 मायक्रोमीटरचे 10 पार्टिकल्स आणि 0.2 मायक्रोमीटर पार्टिकल्स, आणि हे जे काय 0.3, 0.5 और ग्रेटर दॅन 1 मायक्रोमीटर, ग्रेटर दॅन 5 मायक्रोमीटर ते अजिबात असलं पाहिजेत ISO 1 मध्ये. मग हे ISO 1 क्लीन रूम कशासाठी लागते? ISO 2 क्लीन रूम कशासाठी लागते? आता ISO 2 मध्ये याच पार्टिकल साईजचा नंबर वाढत गेलेला आहे. ISO 2 0.2 मायक्रोमीटरचा इथं वाढत गेलेला आहे. मग त्याच्यावरून मग इथं क्लास 1, क्लास वेगवेगळे टेक्निक्स आहेत, वेगवेगळ्या मेथड्स आहेत. आता आपल्याला काय पाहायचं आहे? एन्व्हायरमेंटल मॉनिटरिंग. त्याच्यामध्ये काय करायचं आहे आपल्याला? क्लीन रूम क्लासिफिकेशन. दॅट क्लीन रूम क्लासिफिकेशन कसं कळेल? की ऑलरेडी सम ऑफ द टेक्निक्स, टूल्स विच यू हॅव यूज फॉर मॉनिटरिंग द थिंग्स. That is, you have already determined the particle size which is present having the less than 0.1 micrometer, less than 0.2 micrometer, आणि त्याच्यावरून त्याचं क्लासिफिकेशन केलेलं आहे. आता हे काय? ISO 14644 क्लीन रूम स्टँडर्ड्स किंवा त्याच्या प्रमाणे क्लासिफिकेशन आहे. आता दुसरं इथं काय क्लासिफिकेशन दिसते? BS 5295 क्लीन रूम स्टँडर्ड. त्याच्यामध्ये क्लास कुठला आहे? क्लास 1, क्लास 2, क्लास 3, क्लास 4. मग त्याच्यामध्ये काय म्हटलेलं आहे? पार्टिकल साईज कशी घेतलेली आहे, लेस दॅन 0.25 मायक्रॉन, लेस दॅन व्हॉट यू कॅन से दिस 0.1 मायक्रोमीटर, किंवा इथं 0.5 मायक्रोमीटर, 1 मायक्रोमीटर, ग्रेटर दॅन 5 मायक्रोमीटर. मग क्लास 1 मध्ये, क्लास 2 मध्ये असं त्याचं क्लासिफिकेशन केलेलं आहे. सो स्टुडंट्स, व्हॉट हॅपन्स इन युअर सिलेबस, clean room and clean room classification. So for classification of these clean room techniques, when you go through this latest technology or latest standards, and these latest standards has been put forth by various regulatory authorities. That is, just now I have told you people, if the product is produced by British Pharmacopoeia, if product is produced by IP, Indian Pharmacopoeia, if the product is produced by USP, United States Pharmacopoeia, so their clean room standards, their clean room classification will be different. Clean room classification will be different. आता काय होतंय की, for example, Covishield vaccine. So this Covishield vaccine, which is produced by जी काय ऑक्सफर्डची आहे किंवा तर त्यांचे जे काय स्टँडर्ड्स दिलेले आहेत त्याप्रमाणे सिरम मध्ये त्याचं क्लासिफिकेशन कशाचं, क्लीन रूमचं किंवा नंबर ऑफ पार्टिकलचं केलं जात असतं. तर इथं आपल्याला काय आहे की इन जनरल काय बघायचं आहे, क्लीन रूम क्लासिफिकेशन बघायचं आहे. इथे एक दिलेलं आहे बघा, इथं याच्यात एक क्लीन रूम, दॅट इज ISO 14644. हे थोडंसं दिसत नसेल, दिसतंय का बाळांनो तुम्हाला? इथं दिसते बघा ते ISO 14644 क्लीन रूम स्टँडर्ड्स, class ISO 3, ISO 4, ISO 5, ISO 6, maximum particles per meter cube, and what you can say this ESTD 209E equivalent, class 1, class 10, class 100, class 10,000, class 1 lakh, असं त्याचं क्लासिफिकेशन आहे. इथे बघा क्लिअर दिसते क्लासिफिकेशन, दिसतंय का बाळांनो? स्लाइड इज विजिबल टू यू ऑल? येस, येस, एनीबडी फ्रॉम द क्लास? स्लाइड विजिबल आहे का बाळांनो आता?
आहे सर.
आहे ना? ISO 1, ISO 2, ISO 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, मग त्याच्यामध्ये 0.1 मायक्रोमीटर पार्टिकल्स साईज असेल तर किती असायला पाहिजे, 2 असले किती, हे क्लासिफिकेशन आहे. आणि त्या क्लासिफिकेशन वरून क्लीन रूम स्टँडर्ड्स जे काय क्लासिफिकेशन केलेलं आहे, मग त्याच्यावरून मग ते जे काय वेगवेगळे फार्मा असतात, मग तो प्रॉडक्ट तयार करण्यासाठी क्लीन रूम क्लासिफिकेशन कुठल्या प्रकारचं पाहिजे, ISO 1 पाहिजे, ISO 2 पाहिजे, ISO 3 पाहिजे का, ऍज पर BS 5295 क्लीन रूम स्टँडर्ड्स क्लास 1, क्लास 2, क्लास 3, क्लास 4 पाहिजे, हे त्याचं क्लासिफिकेशन आहे. So major differences between sterile and non-sterile drugs and biologicals. मग काय त्याचं जे काय मेजर स्टराईल ड्रग आहे, नॉन स्टराईल ड्रग आहे, त्यानंतर त्याच्यासाठी त्यांनी हे वेगवेगळे ऍट्रिब्यूट्स दिलेले आहेत. And next point is the microbial control in clean rooms. Microbial control in clean rooms. त्याच्यामध्ये what are contaminants? Contaminants are nothing but the products or substances other than the products manufactured, foreign products, particulate matter, microorganisms, endotoxins वगैरे वगैरे त्यांनी त्याच्यामध्ये दिलेलं आहे. Forty-two students are there. अक्षय लोटके, आर यू देयर? अंजली कदम,
Yes, sir.
आशीष गलने,
Yes, sir.
अस्मिता डिके,
Yes, sir.
भारती एलमार,
Yes, sir.
दीपा नलवडे,
Yes, sir.
दीक्षा लंकेश्वर,
Yes, sir.
फतिमा फतिमा देवयानी,
Yes, sir.
घाडगे शिवानी,
Yes, sir.
जागृती जाधव,
Yes, sir.
केदार कुंभार, कृतिका भोईटे,
Yes, sir.
मनाली मस्के,
Yes, sir.
मृणाल चव्हाण,
Yes,
मृणाल
sir.
कांबळे, मृणाल
Yes, sir.
कांबळे, नाझनीन
Yes, sir.
इनामदार, निकिता
Yes,
जाधव,
sir. Yes, sir.
ओंकार उबाळे,
Yes, sir.
पूनम कोरडे,
Yes, sir.
प्रज्ञा शिंदे,
Present, sir.
प्राजक्ता मोरे,
Yes, sir.
दोन आहेत का प्राजक्ता मोरे?
Oh, sir.
अरे बाप. प्रसाद साळुंके,
Yes, sir.
रेश्मा मुलानी,
Yes, sir.
रितू शेलार,
Yes, sir.
ऋतुजा डांगे,
Yes, sir.
ऋतुजा जाधव,
Yes, sir.
सचिता कुचेकर, साक्षी
Yes,
पवार,
sir. Yes, sir.
संयोगिता साळुंखे,
Yes, sir.
शिवानी जाधव,
Yes, sir.
श्रद्धा शिंदे,
Present, sir.
श्रद्धा यादव,
Present, sir.
शुभांगी पिसे,
Yes, sir.
सिद्धी शिंदे,
Yes, sir.
स्नेहा मोरे,
Yes, sir.
स्नेहा पाटील, तन्वी निकम,
Yes, sir.
वैष्णवी पवार
Yes, sir.
अँड विद्या सोनवले.
Yes, sir.
आता तुमची आता फर्स्ट आयएससी या सेमिस्टरची कधी आहे? त्या आयएससी ला असतील याच्यातले काही प्रश्न. नाउ आय वुड लाईक टू स्टॉप हिअर.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. आवाज येते? Hello. Hello. Am I audible? So yesterday we have studied about the biofertilizer, that is a skill paper. It is a which there is the entrepreneurship and some of the introduction of the entrepreneurship startup and बायोफर्टिलायझर जे आहे ते आपण लास्ट लेक्चरला सुरू केलेलं होतं. तर ते थोडंसं कम्प्लीट करूया. बायोपेस्टिसाइड्स एक पॉइंट आपल्याला बघायचा आहे आणि त्यानंतर मग अजून एक दोन पॉइंट दुसऱ्या एक मॅडम घेतील. हे स्किलचा जो पेपर आहे त्याच्यामध्ये एक गेस्ट लेक्चर आहे तुमच्यासाठी ऑर्गनाईज केलेलं. तर उद्या एक गेस्ट लेक्चर होईल तुमचं, विच इन्क्लूड्स द अकाउंटिंग अँड ऑडिटिंग. सो तर ते गेस्ट लेक्चर तुमचे थोडे होऊन ते स्किलचा जो पेपर आहे त्यातलं एक युनिट कम्प्लीट केलं जाईल. सो आज आपण बायोफर्टिलायझर त्याच्या पुढे बघूया आणि त्यानंतर एकदा हे स्किलचं पूर्ण झाल्यानंतर मग जे रेग्युलरचा सिलेबस आहे त्या रेग्युलरच्या सिलेबस मधलं जे मी घेते पण ट्रान्स्क्रिप्शन तो आपण कम्प्लीट करूया. ठीक आहे. So biofertilizer, is it visible to you? Is the slide visible or not? Unmute करून आन्सर द्या. Is it visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
So biofertilizer, the introduction of biofertilizer, we have studied about this. Then what is biofertilizer? These are the natural fertilizers that are microbial inoculants of the bacteria, algae and fungi. And how that biofertilizer helps for the growth of the plants? They fix the atmospheric nitrogen and they build up a soil microflora. That is the soil fertility. Fertility is improved with the help of this biofertilizer. Then biofertilizer includes organic fertilizer, manure, vermicompost. Then the types of the biofertilizer in last lecture we have studied, that is bacterial, fungal, algal, aquatic, fern, earthworms. So in bacteria, there are the two types of nitrogen fixers. Some are the symbiotic, some are the non-symbiotic or free-living nitrogen fixer. तर ते आपण त्याचे एक्झाम्पल बघितलेले आहेत. त्यानंतर अल्गल बायोफर्टिलायझर आपण बघितलं, दॅट इज द ब्ल्यू ग्रीन अल्गी. It is in association with the azolla, then Anabina, Nostoc, Oscillatoria. So these are the algal biofertilizers. Then about the phosphate solubilizing bacteria, there are the Pseudomonas is there and Bacillus megaterium is there. Then the next is the fungal biofertilizer, that is the VAM. VAM is the vascular herbuscular mycorrhiza. And last is the earthworms. So This is about the fertilizers. And then bacterial biofertilizers. Live cells of the bacteria, they are used as a biofertilizer. These microorganisms, they contain a gene, and that genes are the NIF gene. So NIF genes are main responsible for fixing the atmospheric nitrogen. Then nitrogen fixing bacteria, they work under two condition. बघितले आपण हे सिम्बायोटिक आणि नॉन सिम्बायोटिक किंवा त्यालाच काय म्हणतो आपण फ्री लिव्हिंग. Then about the example, rhizobium. Rhizobium, they form the root nodules. Then this along with rhizobium, the another organism is the bradyrhizobium, that is the slow growing rhizobia. And the other group is the fast growing rhizobia, that is called as a rhizobium. Okay. Then azospirillum एक आपण बघितलेलं होतं. Azospirillum, it is mainly associated with the cereal plant. Then it lives inside the root cells as well as surrounding of the root, that is called as a rhizosphere. Surrounding ला काय म्हणतात? Rhizosphere म्हणतात. It forms a symbiotic association and it fixes the atmospheric nitrogen. Then azospirillum, it is recognized as a dominant soil microbe. Means the number of the azospirillum, it is more in soil. That is the dominant soil microbe. Then nitrogen in the range of 20 to 40 kg per hectare in the rhizosphere in the non-leguminous plants such as cereal, millets, oil, seeds, cotton. So nitrogen fertilizer, if it is given, then 25 to 30% can be saved by the azospirillum inoculate. Then the free living bacteria, in that the two examples are there, Azotobacter आणि Klebsiella, हे दोन एक्झाम्पल आहेत. त्यानंतर आपण काय बघितलं अबाउट द अझोटोबॅक्टर. आपल्याला अझोटोबॅक्टर बद्दल स्पेसिफिक कॅरेक्टर जे आहेत ते आपण बघितलेले आहेत. दॅट इज दे फिक्सेस द atmospheric nitrogen and another is they synthesize the growth promoting substances, and that growth promoting substances are nothing but the auxins and gibberellins. And to somewhat extent, some vitamins are also synthesized by this Azotobacter. Then Azotobacter, it also secretes some of the components that are fungicidal, means they are against the fungal growth, or this Azotobacter does not allow the growth of the fungus. Then the main Azotobacter, on which plant it is applied. So the answer of this is the rice, maize, cotton, sugarcane, pearl millet, vegetable and some plantation crops it is applied. So there are the specific plant and a specific nitrogen fixing organism is there. The pair is there, that is the it is Azotobacter is always associated with the rice, maize, cotton. These are some of the plants on which the Azotobacter is applied. Then the soybean plant, it is association with the bradyrhizobium. So bradyrhizobium is given to that soybean plant for the proper growth. Okay. Then the next how the mass production is carried. तर मास प्रोडक्शन म्हणजे काय, आपल्याला मेन इम्पॉर्टंट काय तर रायझोबियम किंवा अझोटोबॅक्टर, ते बॅक्टेरियाचं कल्चर इम्पॉर्टंट आहे. मास कल्टिवेशन ऑफ दिस ऑर्गॅनिझम इज देअर. So isolated bacterial cultures, they were subculture into nutrient broth. So first the organisms are grown in the nutrient broth, and the culture, it is allowed to grow on the rotatory shaker or in checking condition at room temperature. Generally the temperature is 30 plus or minus 2 degree Celsius centigrade. The culture is incubated until it reaches the maximum cell population 10 raised to 10 to 10 raised to 11. So under the optimum condition, this population level it could be attained within the 4 to 5 days for rhizobium and 5 to 7 days for azospirillum, while azotobacter requires little more time, that is 6 to 7 days. Culture obtained is initially the culture grown, it is called as a starter culture. Then the starter culture is then transferred into the large fermenters and then they are allowed to grow. So this is about the in general protocol. First, the media is prepared and that media is specific to the bacterial inoculant in the required quantity. Then it is inoculated with bacterial strain for aseptic condition. Then incubated, it is allowed to incubate for 30 plus minus 2 degree for 5 to 7 days in the rotatory shaker. Then there is the sufficient growth is obtained and that is nothing but the starter culture. Then the starter culture is then transferred into the large fermenters. Then the broth is checked for the population of inoculated organism, and once the sufficient growth is there, then the population load it should be 10 raised to 9 cells per ml, and then the cells are harvested. After that, there is the addition of the carrier material, that is it bring about the proper binding of that biofertilizer. So for this purpose, the carrier material is used, and that carrier material is the peat soil, lignite, vermiculture, charcoal, press mud, soil mixture. So it is a act as a carrier. Then the neutralized peat soil or lignite, it is found to be the better carrier. Then some of the properties of the ideal carrier material, it should be cheaper in the cost. If the carrier material used it is expensive, then automatically it adds value to the biofertilizer, means the cost of the biofertilizer it is increased if the cost of the carrier material is more. So it should be cheaper in the cost, then it should be easily available, high organic matter content, then it should not have any toxic chemicals, then the water holding capacity it should be more than 50% and easy to process. So these are the some characteristics of the ideal carrier material. समजलं काय हे? समजतंय? हॅलो, समजतंय का? रिप्लाय करा. हॅलो, प्रज्ञा शिंदे.
Yes, ma'am.
स्नेहा मोरे.
Yes, ma'am.
समजतंय ना?
Yes, miss.
ओके, लक्ष द्या व्यवस्थित. Then after that, the preparation of the inoculant packet, the neutralized and sterilized carrier material, it is spread in the clean, dry and sterile metallic or plastic bags. So bacterial culture, it is drawn from the fermenter, it is added to the sterile carrier and it is properly mixed either by manual method or by mechanical mixer. The proper mixing is carried out, and then the inoculants are packaged in the polythene bags, and then it is sealed with the electric sealer. So this is about the preparation of the bio-inoculant, or it is called as the inoculant packet. Then what are the specifications of the polythene bags? The polythene bag, it should be of low density grade. The thickness of the bag, it should be around 50 to 75 micron. Then the packet should be marked with the some of the details need to be required on that packet, and the details are name of the manufacturer, name of the product, strain number, then the crop to which recommended, methods of inoculation, then about the batch number, date of expiry, price, full address, storage instructions. So these are the some of the specifications which are given on that biofertilizer bag. Then the next is the VAM, that is vascular orbiculaire mycorrhiza. So it is the fungus root. Means why it is called as a fungus root? Because it is the association between the uh, roots of the plant and fungal mycelia. So it is a mutualistic association, symbiotic association. Therefore, it is called as a fungus root. The term was coined by Frank in 1885. So what is this VAM? VAM, they are nothing but the organism, and it is the endotrophic mycorrhiza. It is called as a mycorrhiza. Myco means fungus, rhiza means roots. So fungus remains inside the root, and therefore it is called as a mycorrhiza. It is formed by a aseptate Phycomycetes fungi. Then VAM, it helps in the nutrient transfer, mainly of the nutrients which are largely required by the plant, that are the phosphorus, zinc, and sulfur. So these nutrients, they are provided by the VAM. That is, VAM made available that nutrients to the plant. Then about this mycorrhizae, it is the symbiotic association. Then VAM, it plays a great role in inducing the plant growth. Then VAM, they are the symbiotic endophytic soil fungi, and then they colonize the roots by approximately 80% plants. Then next is the VAM hyphae. They also help in the retaining the moisture around the root zone of the plant. Means both are benefited. Symbiotic association मध्ये आपण काय बघतो? Both are benefited. So here both means that is a fungus and roots of the plant that is in association. Both are benefited means the plant is benefited because it receives nutrients from that fungus, or fungus made available nutrients to the plant, and the plant, they also provide some of the proper protection to the organism, and also food to the organism. Then this fungal hyphae, it helps in the retaining the moisture around the root zone of the plant. Then the next is they mobilize the nutrients like copper, potassium, aluminium, manganese, then iron, magnesium from soil to the plant roots. So these nutrients are made available to the plants with the help of these fungus. समजलं काय? समजतंय? समजले हे?
Yes, Miss.
Okay. So they possesses a vesicle for storage of the nutrients and herbicide for funneling them into the root system. The morphology is in this way. External hyphae is there, then vesicles are present, herbicles are present. So the function of all these is mainly the mobilization of the nutrients from the soil. Then the mechanism of action, this VAM, it forms an association with the plant root. It penetrates the root cortex and it spreads around the roots of the plant. So VAM, it forms an association with the plant root. So it penetrates the root cortex. That is the root cortex मध्ये काय होतं त्याचं penetration होते and it spreads around the roots of the plant and because of the spreading the proper growth nutrients they can be provided. As the name indicates, they possesses a sac-like structure and that sac-like structure is called as a vesicles. So vesicle they also play important role because it stores the phosphorus and phospholipids. Then the other structure is the herbicicle. It helps in bringing the distant nutrients to the vesicles and the roots. So about the mass production, there is not much different when spores are produced. Then they are mixed well with the sterile soil. Then soil filled in the pots. Post plant transferred, transplanted in the pot. Then it is kept for 3 to 4 months in the greenhouse. Then the soil in the pot along with roots of the host. Then the plant is macerated. Macerated means slight काय म्हणतो आपण मॅसरेशन म्हणजे it is the teasing of the plant so that the organism is released in that soil. Then it is dried until it attains a 5% moisture. Means most of the moisture is allowed to remove with the help of the drying technique. Only the very less moisture remains, that is only 5% moisture is retained in that sample, and then the dried soil inoculant they are used for the field application. So this is about the VAM biofertilizer. Then what are the uses of the VAM? First is the it enhances the feeding areas of the plant root uh, as the hyphae spreads around the roots. Then another is the it mobilizes the nutrients from distance to the root. It stores the nutrients like phosphorus, sorry. Then 1 minute. So about the uses of the VAM, that is the vascular herbuscular mycorrhiza. So it enhances the feeding areas of the plant root as the hyphae spreads around the roots. Then it mobilizes the nutrients. Then another use is that it stores the nutrients. For example, phosphorus, that is the vesicle organ जो आहे तो काय करतोय phosphorus store करतोय. Then it removes the toxic chemicals, for example, phenolics. Phenol and phenolics, they are difficult to degrade and they accumulate in the nature. So this VAM, they are helpful for removal of the toxic chemicals which otherwise hinder the nutrient availability. Means they also, because of this, some chemical like phenolics, phenol and phenolics, that is the derivative of the phenol, they also hinder the nutrient availability. Means they make the nutrients unavailable to the plant because of this toxic chemical. So when it removes the toxic chemical in this way, it is helpful for the plants. Then another is the it provide protection against the other fungi and nematodes. Then it increases the growth rate, especially in the some plants like citrus, maize, wheat plant. Then it reduces the sensitivity of the crop towards the high level of the salt and heavy metals. Then algae as a biofertilizer. Algae, the most commonly used is the blue-green algae cyanobacteria. तुम्ही ऐकलं असेल. So this many species of this BGA, they can fix the nitrogen. So nitrogen fixation, it takes place in the special cells and that is called as a heterocyst. तर heterocyst म्हणजे काय? तर एक specific structure present आहे algae मध्ये and that is the very it is a tough structure, hard covering structure आहे, that is the heterocyst. So why this mainly heterocysts are present? Heterocyst म्हणजे काय की जे डबल लेयर्ड हार्ड स्ट्रक्चर आहे, जसे एंडोस्पोर स्ट्रक्चर तुम्ही शिकलाय तसंच हेटेरोसिस्ट स्ट्रक्चर आहे. And why this nitrogen fixation occurs in that specialized cells? The reason is that the nitrogen fixation requires the enzyme nitrogenase. So nitrogenase enzyme, it is oxygen sensitive. तुम्ही ऐकलं असेल. So because of this oxygen sensitivity, nitrogen fixation, it is kept away, or this nitrogenase enzyme kept away oxygen. So with the help of this hard bound structure, it is easy to keep that nitrogenase away from the oxygen. So in case of rhizobium also, there is the one mechanism is there, that is the presence of the लेग हिमोग्लोबिन. ऐकलं असेल तुम्ही हे. रायझोबियम मध्ये काय आहे तर लेग हिमोग्लोबिन आहे and that leg hemoglobin, it takes the oxygen away from the nitrogenase enzyme. लक्षात आलं का? नायट्रोजनेज एन्झाइम जे आहे ते कसं आहे, इट इज द ऑक्सिजन सेन्सिटिव्ह. So in case of different organism, the different mechanism is there to prevent that nitrogenase enzyme from oxygen. So in case of algae, there is the presence of specialized cells, that is the heterocyst, in which nitrogen fixation occurs. In case of rhizobium, there is the presence of molecule called as a leg hemoglobin, which removes the oxygen away from this nitrogenase enzyme. Then algae, about the algae, that is biofertilizer. Sorry, algae, that is the blue-green algae. In that there is the presence of the heterocyst is there. In case of azotobacter, also there is some mechanism, and that mechanism is azotobacter has a very high rate of respiration. azotobacter मध्ये आपण काय बघितले, त्यांच्यामध्ये काय व्हेरी हाय रेट ऑफ रेस्पिरेशन इज देअर, and because of this high rate of respiration, it is that organism also protect the nitrogenase enzyme from the oxygen. Then there is some advantages are there and that advantages are they are easy to produce. Usually they mass produce in the cement tanks filled with the fresh water. So it is very easy to grow the algae than that of the bacteria. तुम्हाला माहित असेल तर algae आपण इझिली ग्रो करू शकतो इन द सिमेंट टँक्स. त्या टँक्स मध्ये फ्रेश वॉटर जर फीड केलं, न्यूट्रिएंट्स प्रोव्हाइड केले तर काय होतं, algae इझिली ग्रो होतो. Only the sunlight is the main factor required for the growth of the algae, because algae they are the autotrophs. So not much processing is required for this type of biofertilizer. It is quite easy to produce and also cheap. So the cost of the 10 kg, it may be only 30 to 40 rupees. So it is beneficial in the certain crops like vegetable, cotton, sugarcane. Examples, they are the Anabaena, nostoc, and oscillatoria. So these are the some of the algal biofertilizers. Then azolla as a biofertilizer. Azolla, it is a freshwater fern. Azolla काय? It is nothing but the freshwater fern is there. So fern ऐकलं असेल तुम्ही, नेफ्रोलेपिस किंवा आपण काय म्हणतो fern, that is the commonly occurring in the pond, ditches and the rice field. So azolla plant, it is mainly used as a biofertilizer for the rice plant, and it has been used for the rice in all major rice growing countries like India, Thailand, Korea, Philippines, then Brazil, West Africa. These are the some of the countries which are growing the rice in the major quantity. So nitrogen fixing work is accomplished by the symbiotic relationship between the fern and the BGA. There is a symbiotic association between Anabaena and azolla. So azolla is the aquatic fern and Anabaena is the it is blue-green algae. So in addition to nitrogen, azolla provides some of the essential nutrients like potassium, then phosphorus, zinc, iron to the crop. So azolla biomass, it gets double within 5 to 7 days by the vegetative method. Autotrophic plants जसं ग्रो होतं तसं हे azolla ग्रो होतं. It fix 40 to 80 kg nitrogen per hectare per year. Good manure for the flooded rice. Then it is increasing the crop yield. It is observed about 15 to 20% of the increase in the crop yield with the help of this azolla or azolla Anabaena fertilizer. Then hybrids, they are growing faster, tolerant to heat and cold. These are some of the advantages. Then how these biofertilizers are applied to the plant. So there are some ways, and that ways are seed treatment, root dipping, and soil applications. So seed treatment म्हणजे काय केलं जातं? So seed treatment, it is with the rhizobium, azotobacter, and azospirillum, along with phosphate solubilizing microorganisms. Seed treatment, it can be done by any of the 2 or more bacteria. There are no any side effects. So important things, that the seed must be coated first with the rhizobium, azotobacter, or azospirillum. Then each seed gets the layer of the bacteria, and then PSM inoculant has to be treated on an outer seed. म्हणजेच काय, तर पहिल्यांदा त्या सीडवरती कोटिंग दिलं जातं. फर्स्ट आयदर रायझोबियम, अझोटोबॅक्टर और अझोस्पिरिलम ह्यांनी काय केलं जातं, ह्या इनॉक्युलंटचं कोटिंग दिलं जातं. अँड देन the another organism, that is phosphate solubilizing microorganisms, they are coated on the seed. Then this method provide a maximum number of population of each bacteria required for the better results. Then mixing of any of the 2 bacteria and treatment of the seed will not provide the maximum number of bacteria of the individuals. Means mixing of the any 2 kind of the bacteria is not desired. Okay, there is a suitable pair is there for specific plant. So root dipping is the another method, that is the application of the azospirillum. जनरली पॅडी फील्ड्स म्हणजे राईस फील्ड साठी हे यूज केलं जातं azospirillum. So there is the required quantity of azospirillum. It is mixed with the water and then it is applied at the one corner of the field. And all the plants, they have to keep minimum half an hour before sowing. So this is the root dipping method. Then soil application. This phosphate solubilizing microorganism, it has to be used as a soil application. Use the 2 kg of the PSM per hectare. Then mix this phosphate solubilizing microorganism with the cow dung. So along with half bag of the rock phosphate is available. So the mixture of the PSM, that is phosphate solubilizing microorganism, cow dung and rock phosphate, it has to be kept under the tree shade and ceiling for the overnight and maintain the 50% moisture. Means that mixture is allowed to dry, but it is partially dried, not complete dried. 50% moisture is retained in that. Then use of this mixture as a soil application in the rows and during the leveling of the soil. So this is the soil application. Then which are the precautions taken? So generally this fertilizer packets, it is stored at the cool and dry place, that is away from the direct sunlight and heat. Then use the right combination, means the organism, it is crop specific. So you have to apply a correct organism to the proper plant or a crop. Then only there is increase in the yield is possible. So do not mix it with the chemicals. Then use the packet before expiry only on the specified crop by the recommended method. So this is about the precautions. Then about the advantages, you all know about the advantages. काय आहेत advantages? Improve the soil fertility. Renewable source आहे, नॅचरल आहे त्यामुळे रिन्युएबल आहे. दुसरं काय? It is an supplementary to the chemical fertilizers, or it can replace the chemical fertilizers. It can replace the 25 to 30% chemical fertilizers. Then it provides it decomposes the plant residues. It stabilizes the carbon to nitrogen ratio of the soil so that the soil fertility is improved. Then which properties of the soil, they are increased? Texture, structure, water holding capacity, all that is improved. So no adverse effect on the plant growth and soil fertility is there. Then another is they secrete some of the plant growth hormones like auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin, and they promote the plant growth. Another is they secrete some of the antifungal components, fungistatic, antibiotic-like substances. Then it solubilize and mobilize the nutrients. Another is the eco-friendly आहेत, non pollution कॉस्ट करत नाही. त्यानंतर कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव्ह मेथड इज देअर. So these are the advantages. Some of the disadvantages are there, like biofertilizer, they require a special care for the long-term storage because they are alive. They must be used before the expiry date. For the good results, you have to use it within the expiry date or before expiry date. If other organism contaminate the carrier material, or if growers use the wrong strain, then they are not as effective. So biofertilizer lose their effectiveness if the soil is too hot or too dry. तर too hot किंवा too dry soil जर असेल तर काय होईल बायोफर्टिलायझर it is not much effective, it loses their effectiveness, and therefore the moisture level is maintained, is the 50% moisture should be maintained, then only the good results of the biofertilizer they can be obtained. ठीक आहे, समजलं काय? समजलंय का?
Yes, Miss.
सो बायोफर्टिलायझर एक पॉइंट आपण कम्प्लीट केला. बायोपेस्टिसाइड एक पॉइंट आहे याच्यामध्ये. नेक्स्ट लेक्चरला आपण बायोपेस्टिसाइड बघूया. ओके. So this is about today's lecture. So have a nice day and take care.